Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bittner, Ash Paulson, and Ted from Brain Scratch Comms to discuss the details of the August update coming to Splatoon. So let's get started. Alright guys, a few days ago we got the brand new trailer from Japan showcasing new content coming to the game, and today we got the specific details of what all that's going to entail for the August update, and it's looking to be pretty robust. So as it turns out, we're getting 2 new matchmaking modes, which basically involves playing with your friends. We're getting 2 new weapon classes, including like a Gatling gun class and the bucket class, both of which look kind of crazy. We're getting 40 new pieces of gear, and yeah, I think that's about it, right? And new rank abilities, so like you can go up to level 50 now in ranks.
Yeah, they increased the level cap, which is something that a lot of people have been asking for.
Exactly, as well as, including getting rank S and S plus in ranked battles. So there's a lot coming to the game. What do you guys think about all this?
I think this is great. I mean, I think everybody expected the August update to be something kind of major. We kind of expected those sort of matchmaking modes and how you'd be able to play with your friends a lot more easily and that sort of thing. I don't think anybody expected a level increase. I don't think anybody expected 2 new weapon classes, maybe new weapons, but not whole entire classes that it could be. And just so much more. And a little detail that kind of sneaks in there that you can kind of easily skip over is that they confirmed that these free updates that are going to be adding stuff to the game are going all the way through the fall as well. It's not just summer, which is what they said initially, but it's going all the way through the fall, and that just means even more free content is coming to this game. And I gotta say, Splatoon's becoming a huge game. If you would collect everything and do everything, there's so much to experience now, and it's not the bare bones experience that it was at launch, which was still a lot of fun, but it really feels like they've fleshed out the entire game, and it's felt kind of rewarding to just see it update gradually and see it become better and better.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no kidding. I love Splatoon. I've played probably dozens and dozens of hours of Splatoon. The thing I'm probably most excited about, on top of the new weapons, which look absolutely ridiculous and awesome, is the level cap increase, because I got to level 20 within like 2 weeks of playing the game or so. Maybe not, maybe like a month, or I forget how long it took exactly, but it was pretty quick. And I believe there was an interview with the developers who said that they weren't expecting the players to reach level 20 that fast, so I think that's why instead of just doubling it, they made it up to 50, so you'd really have to take a while in order to get up that high. But yeah, that, I think, more reasons to keep playing the game is awesome, and the fact that it's free is the icing on the cake, because many games will try to charge you for stuff like this. Maybe not like the increased matchmaking options, but all of the extra weapons, the extra gear. A lot of other games would make you pay for that kind of stuff, and I love that it's free.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Splatoon really has become the gift that keeps on giving. I'm just really loving that they're adding all this new content for free. I mean, as much as I love Splatoon, I do think that it felt slightly incomplete when it launched. So in a sense, it feels like they're kind of completing, kind of coming full circle and completing what they maybe meant to release back when the game originally launched. But either way, we're getting it now, we're getting it for free, and I mean, the game has become so much bigger than what it was back when it first came out. I can't wait to see the 2 new weapon classes, especially the Gatling gun looks sick. And I think the thing I'm actually most excited for, though, is the new multiplayer options. I mean, I really think that we should have been able to kind of form our own teams from the get-go, and I think that was kind of an oversight, to be honest, but now that we can, I'm not going to complain about it anymore. I just love that I can finally create my own teams with friends I want to play with and not just get matched up randomly with strangers and friends or against friends. It's just nice to have that kind of, customization when I go to play online now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all basically said it. This is all really cool, and I'm with you, Ash. I think the most exciting part is the friend update. It'll be really cool, like, for us to hop on as, a GameXplain squad and go take on other squads. I just love, and I even love the fact that if you're doing the private matches, you're able to set it up so the teams, they don't have to be even. You can have like 4 versus 1 if you want, which would be
1v7. Anybody?
Yeah.
Well, I think
Everybody against Andre.
I think 4 people is a max per team, unfortunately. So I
Yeah. Going off that, being able to pick any level where when you're doing just between friends is something I never expected them to do. You're so used to them just picking, okay, these are the levels you get to play right now. Okay, I guess that works for now.
Right.
But being able to play and actually be able to go to your favorites and skip the ones you just don't like, I think that really says like they're listening to what people want and adding that in and really making it just a really great experience.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure how much of it is actually based on feedback, because so far most of this stuff we've seen was already in the game. But everything they're adding is like just makes sense. Like, I mean, it does. I guess going off what Ash said, it does feel a little bit like they're filling it out now. With that said, I stood by when the game launched. Like, I had no issues with the content at launch, but it is awesome that we're getting all the stuff that really does make it feel even more of a complete experience. And it's cool to see that they are going to continue the updates through the fall season. And I wouldn't be surprised if that takes us to, like the very end of fall, like maybe into winter. Like, I could see them releasing one more big update toward the end of the year to give it like that big push for the holiday season. And actually, that kind of leads me to my next question: is what do you want to see come next? Like, is there anything else you want to see added to the game? Because I'm kind of picturing them adding. Like, that could be when, for the fall, like, if they do have another big update, I can see them adding, that's when they add, like, the cross-branding support, like, maybe the amiibo support, where, you can scan in costumes from other characters. And maybe that's when we'll finally get Island Delfino as a stage. But that has to happen,
Actually, I think the thing that I would like the most is an expansion to the single-player content, and this is probably something that would be more likely to happen as paid DLC rather than a free update, but... I like the single player quite a bit. It's a really fun romp, a little bit short, but it doesn't wear out as welcome, which is an important thing. And it's a fun time, but especially after doing all of the amiibo challenges, I still really wanted to have more to it because, it's just a good time. It's a very fast-paced kind of game, and it plays very differently from the online as well, and I think there's still a lot more that they could do with it. So I think some sort of expansion of the single player, maybe like an extra world or something, would be a lot of fun, because it would give you something to do if like your internet was out or whatever. So
yeah, I love the single player, and I would love to see more of it. With that said, I don't think they're going to do that at all.
It's not likely. It's just Dream World. That's what I would want.
Yeah.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. I would love to have an expansion of the single-player campaign, and I do think that if it did happen, it probably won't. But if it did, I think it would be paid DLC. But I would be happy to pay for that, because the single-player mode was so fun, and honestly features one of the best final boss fights I have played.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So good.
It's so good. And I would love to see them, like you said, they did a lot with the single player campaign, but I feel like there's still so much more they could do. And given what they did with the final boss and so many cool things throughout the single player campaign, I just want to see what else they could do.
All right, Ash, I'm going to ruin your dreams here. You're not going to get a Mega Man campaign in Splatoon, okay?
Hey, you know what? I will keep the dream alive. It'll happen some. No, it won't happen at all. But I still would like to see a single player campaign. Period. Maybe from the viewpoint of the Octolings, that could be kind of cool.
Well, one of the other things they could do with the single-player campaign is have levels dedicated to certain weapons. Because with the amiibo missions, you got to play existing levels with the different weapons and like how to adjust your strategies and whatever else. But I think it'd be really cool to see what they come up with. It's like, okay, in this level, you have to use the roller, or in this level, you have to use the bucket, and go from there. And I think it'd be interesting to see what they could come up with and how crazy unique they could get with that sort of thing. And maybe even bosses dedicated to that sort of idea. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be a great way to really extend the single player and keep it, fresh.
It'd also be one thing about the single players is that there were a lot of missions dedicated to teaching you tactics for online as well. Like, that's the whole point of the sniper and ink strike levels. So it would be a good training ground, so to speak, for something like the bucket, which is relatively unorthodox, I would have to imagine.
That's true. Speaking of unorthodox, actually, I think it was the Tumblr, Derek, that was teasing that Urchin Underpass is going to be under construction.
Yes, it's straight from the Splatoon Tumblr. It basically says, safety notice from August 2nd to the 5th, Urchin Underpass will not be available and is undergoing construction work. Whether it means they're adding stuff or removing stuff or whatever else, something is happening to Urchin Underpass, and that's kind of interesting. One of the things they say about Camp Triggerfish is that it went through a lot of redesigns. At least that's what Callie Marie say. They just kept changing it. So maybe that's why it took so long for Triggerfish to come out, and it might be like they're not satisfied with how Underpass is and want to change that.
That's so weird. I actually really like Underpass, but to make it better, great. That is such a weird way to go about it, though, if they actually do change the map. For two reasons. Like, actually changing a map is kind of a big deal for a multiplayer game. And secondly, the fact that they're pulling it offline is, I don't know, it's weird and kind of cool. Like, there's no reason for them to have to do that as far as I know. Like, it's on the game already. They can just update it when they change it. But it is kind of like an interesting tease, right? If they actually are updating the map, where actually, like, they're actually pulling it offline as if they were actually doing real-life construction on this thing for some reason.
Yeah, I love that they do that, because it makes it seem like I'm all for, like, it's I don't want to say immersive, because it's not like this is realistic in any way, but it's such a cute touch, and it's something that you wouldn't see any other game doing. Like, you wouldn't see them, like, put up a construction notice in, like, a Mario level that they were changing 1-1 or any. Although I guess that's technically what Mario Maker is, but never mind. It's such a cute way of doing it, and if they wanted to have, like, the update happen, without anybody noticing it, all they would have had to do is just not have Urchin Underpass happen in the rotation for a few days. And to be honest, I don't think anybody would really notice if they had done it that way. But I think it's so cool that it's cute, and it's a nice nod to the fact that it's a kind of an evolving world. Mm-hmm. That they said, oh, it's undergoing construction. You can go back in a couple of days. I think that's really neat.
Well, that's just like the Splatfest. Like, the day before, as they're preparing for the Splatfest, you can see them with scaffolding, getting everything ready and whatnot. Just that extra level of detail that they really don't need. They could just pop up, Splatfest is here, and it just pops up and no big deal. And we would accept that because it's a video game, this type of stuff happens. But because they're sort of involving people, and this Tumblr of theirs is just so great in the way they update and just have these little winks and nods and treating it as if it was this real world, really adds to the personality of the game. And that's one thing about Splatoon that you just cannot deny. It has so much personality. And I know a lot of people want to see Callie Marie go, and even I wish there would be a way to, like, sort of skip past them at certain points. But they do add personalities.
Wait, people want to get rid of Callie and Marie?
The updates in the beginning when you first turn on the game.
Monsters, all of them.
Well, I think it's mainly they want to be able to skip their what they say, or at least skip through it faster, because it is kind of ridiculous that you have to, like, wait for them to say what they say at their slow speed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, if you mash the A button, they do talk a little bit faster. Like, it'll skip the scrolling of the text, and if you mash the A button, it goes in like 20 seconds. So
yeah, it's still annoying though, because the game already has a pretty long boot up time too. So yeah, like I like them as characters, and I like the little touches they add to the game, but you should be able to skip it, because there's only so many times I can reread how many times they go shopping in the mall district or whatever.
Like, I like them there for updates and stuff, but when it's just like, okay, these are the maps in rotation, I don't really.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't,
I don't need
because I'll see that when I go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're perfect for updates and having them around for Splatfest and stuff like that. And they update so often that you'd still see Callie Marie quite a bit.
Pretty much every time you turn on the game. So there is something else interesting here. I think also from the Tumblr, right, Derek, where they were teasing something about the Octolings.
Yes, this was from a little while ago. Basically, they released art of the Octoling without its glasses on, so you can actually see their eyes for the first time. And I believe, Ted, you said it mentioned as well that somebody had, like, data mined the game, and they saw files of playable Octolings, which might be part of the update. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the thing about a lot of the Splatoon updates that have happened recently is that all of the maps that have come onto the game since the game launched have been on the disc actually since the game has launched. They've just been unlocking them with each update for free. The same with all of the weapons, and there's also data for a playable Octoling. as well in there, and it has the same kind of eyeshadow, eyeliner thing that the Octoling has in that Tumblr art as well. The thing is that while the rest of this stuff has all come out before the main August update, the Octoling stuff, I always got the impression was a little bit more unfinished, and I think that's why it's not, if this is going to be happening at all, it's not going to be happening until a later point. So it's very interesting, actually, that they have the Octolings in there, because I don't know how they would explain it in the context of the story, because they're kind of like stuck underground at the moment, and they kind of hate squids, so like I don't even know. I'm
actually surprised that's not how the game was designed originally, like because the whole point of the single player, of course, is it's the Inklings versus the Octolings, basically, and you even play in the same arenas at points where you're fighting the Octolings in the arena. Like, wouldn't it have made sense for the multiplayer to have been like, if they could have made it even where you're always an Inkling and the opponents are always Octolings, and it just updates their appearance to you, even though they're playing as Inklings on their end.
It would have been, but having it be Inkling versus Inkling almost makes it gives it a greater sense of fun and not just this is a war,
Yeah.
That's true.
I think that ties into their whole thing. Is like, this is all just for fun. It doesn't matter who wins. Yeah, you have that competitive spirit, but as Callie Marie say, if they lose, it's like, oh well, we'll get you next time. It's just a lot of fun.
Well, so then they just make the multiplayer a sequel to the single player, where the Octolings and Inklings are now friends, and they're just duking it out for fun.
Yeah, we're totally friends.
No, that could work, because in one of the secret scrolls they do say that the Octolings and Inklings did have friendly relations before the Great Turf War of like 500 years ago. I think it was. This game has a stupid amount of lore.
It really does.
It really does. Yeah.
No, I think actually that's a cool idea. Like, I mean, it is. I mean, I'm guessing they was making like a playable model then, maybe, where you can, instead of just being stuck with an Inkling, you can just choose to be an Octoling. And if they did remove the glasses from that artwork, or the model in the artwork, it makes sense if you're adding your own gear to the Octoling, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be a cool addition.
I'd say it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little quick note. I love that one of the tags for that Tumblr post is hashtag guess she got LASIK.
Wow, that's fantastic.
The tags for the Tumblr posts are always funny. Like, I think when one of the E-liter scope came out, one of the tags was, so you all can now make no scope jokes. Whoever's in charge of running that blog is having way too much fun.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty great. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts at all about anything we've discussed, or anything else you want to mention before we wrap it up here?
I think it going to level 50 is very interesting. Not only for the fact that it is actually going to take most people probably quite a while to get to level 50, but
like
also, yeah, some people, but also the fact that new gear got unlocked with each level in Splatoon. Does that mean we have 30 levels worth of gear and weapons and everything else coming to the game?
It would make sense, because they're tying the 40 new gear pieces, it sounds like, into this update. So I'm sure that's what it's going to be like then. Mm-hmm. Especially so it gives you more reason to keep visiting the stores, right?
Yeah, and then because we'll get all the variations on the bucket weapons and the splatling guns, and yeah, it's really exciting just to see how much content really is coming to this game with this update.
I'm just wondering how long it's going to take to get to level 50, because by the time you got to the high teens in Splatoon, the only way you can do it with any amount of speed is to win consistently in ranked battle, which is hard. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess that might be what the S and S Plus rank are for, because if you can manage to keep that going, you're probably going to get like a good, I'd have to guess, like maybe 5,000 points per battle, which is ridiculous. If I had to guess, I've never gotten past like B in rank, because I'm not the best at ranked battle, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how long it takes.
I do think it's going to take a while. I mean, and I think that's by design. If they had just done like a plus 10 level cap to level 30, it'd be the same thing as what happened at launch. People would get to level 30 pretty soon, and then they'd complain again that there's nowhere they can't go any further up. So I think it makes a lot more sense for them to raise the cap all the way to 50, because it really is going to take even the most ardent players a long time to reach that level, and that gives Nintendo time to kind of figure out what they're going to do next with Splatoon.
Yeah. The level cap, I don't know, it doesn't really make much sense to me at all, or the way levels work in that game. just because it's just a matter of time, basically. It's more a reflection of how much time you spend in the game than anything else, because it can't drop in level.
I think they just don't want everybody to be level 20 because from what I've seen, or maybe pretty much everybody online's level 20 now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit more intimidating for new players to see everybody be level 20 or everybody be the same level. I think, in some ways, like having like a bunch of like people in the 30s and 40s might be a little bit less intimidating for a newbie than to see everybody at the max when they first start up. But that's just my hypothesis.
Plus, there's something mentally, whenever you get a new level, it feels good. It's like I'm making progress, even though that progress.
Oh, it's that meaningless achievement mentality.
Exactly. You call it meaningless, but people just buy into that, and it's a lot of fun because, at least in this game, that does mean, hey, I can buy new weapons, I can spend this money, I can get new gear, and just keep, changing up your tactics and changing up what you can use and whatnot.
And even beyond that, just mentally, I played a lot of Splatoon right at launch. I still play relatively regularly, but the turning point from when I started playing maybe 2-3 times a week as opposed to every day was when I reached max level because, I felt like I didn't have as much to do. So, it might seem silly and meaningless, but it does work.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to mentally feel like you're making your way towards something or having some sort of feedback for, putting time into the game. And Derek, like you said, there are tangible rewards. You do unlock new gear as you go higher in level. And even though the higher level gear isn't overwhelmingly better than what you can use when you first start out, it is slightly better, and it gives you more options and it gives you more, tactical advantages, I would say. So, higher level players, even if there's no actual experience, difference in terms of like strength or speed or whatever, you do have, there is some sort of appreciable difference between a level 1 player and a level 20 player, and that the level 20 player has more options.
Alright, cool. Well, I think that wraps up for us here. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to in the description below, which go way to keep up to date on everything we post. And Ted, you want to tell everyone where they can find you at?
Yes, I'm a member of Brain Scratch Commentaries, where we do video game walkthroughs, playthroughs on a number of different things, and we shall be starting Splatoon relatively soon, so keep an eye out for that.
Sounds good. And of course, you can find more of our discussions on GameXplain.com. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.